All right, so in this video, I'll be looking at Bitcoin more locally. I want to go over Market Cipher. I want to talk about some of the local developments, and we'll see if I can maybe come up with some ideas. So to recap what I've been looking at recently, I have marked out on the screen the high time frame volume levels of the macro range, starting from all-time high. So we got value area high up here, point of control, value area low, and these other red lines are high volume nodes. Originally, this one up here was point of control, but it shifted down to here. But I think all of them are significant. And recently, price has fallen below point of control. We even back tested it as resistance right here, and we've been continuing lower since then. And based on rotation rules of a range, we know that losing point of control can lead to basically making the value area low a target. And so that is my target right now until either we hit it or until there are confirmations that say otherwise. Confirmations that say we are going to front run value area low. And it did look like, price was trying to hold this area. We started ranging, we started wicking out the lows. There was clearly some buying in this area, but we recently broke down below it and have closed some significant high time frame candles below this lower time frame range. I believe we still haven't closed a 4-hour candle yet. We got a little bit until this really confirms. And we did almost get a wick of it on this first 4-hour candle. We closed slightly below it. So sure, if we really get a pump back up into this range, maybe you could say that this is like an SFP still on the 4-hour, but we moved significantly below the range, so it's not looking very good for any kind of SFP or saying that we held this range, especially when we closed candles on most time frames below the range already. And this was happening at an interesting point. This is the value area low of this more local bit of sideways price action. And people pull their fixed ranges differently. Maybe you'd want to include this price action to the left a little bit. Still kind of the same thing, except the point of controls are different. But the value area low is in the same spot. So we were trying to hold value area low. And now, along with breaking this local range, we have also broken down below value area low, which gives some more confluence to the idea that we may continue rotating down towards the low of this larger range, which is right around value area low. So those are the important price developments right now. I still think value area low is a target. I'm still, watching price action in the meantime, and if something starts to happen where things start looking bullish, I see a bullish setup, I will definitely personally consider longs prior to hitting this area. But right now, it still seems like price action is, continuing to rotate down in that direction. So I'm not seeing anything that really makes me change that just yet. And quickly talking about my positions that I'm in, I am still in this Bitcoin short. There's 25% of it remaining. And until I see reason to close it or until we hit my final target, I'm just going to let that run. I've already locked in a decent amount with it. I think I've locked in about 3% with the trade already. And I did take one more scalp short yesterday. I took a trade on Tron, which I already closed out. That hit my target. So the shorts have been going well after this rejection from this key resistance up here. And I may be looking for some more short trades. As long as it seems like we are continuing to move down towards this target, any short opportunities I will take. Of course, I'm not just going to enter any short. The risk reward has to make sense. The confirmations have to be correct. But we'll see if I can maybe plan out the next area of interest for shorts for me. But before I do that, I will look at Market Cipher and we'll just do top down. I don't think there's going to be too much change on this weekly. But actually, there is something notable here. The VWAP is pointing more downwards than it was the last time I looked at it. The last time it was kind of going flat, maybe pointing down a little bit. Now it is clearly pointing to the downside. So we saw a little midweek development on the weekly time frame. Things starting to turn to the downside a little bit more. So, could we potentially print a bearish trigger wave just as quick as we printed the bullish one? Yeah, that is certainly possible. But we are in a ranging environment, so I don't think a bearish trigger wave necessarily means that we're gonna lose this range bearishly and dump forever. We may just be seeing some indecision with Market Cipher. We could print a bearish trigger wave just to rotate towards the low end of the range, maybe even taking out the range low before the weekly bottoms out again. Who knows? So daily momentum continuing to move to the downside. The VWAP put in a lower low. Money flow continuing to hook over to the downside. We got pretty close to the zero line here, but we turned away prior to getting to it. But for right now, we could just be putting in yet another higher low. There is still a clear uptrend of money flow right now. Now on the 4-hour, money flow has not found support on the zero line. it has gotten below the zero line, gotten a little move to the upside, and then put in a lower low. So we are putting in lower lows in the red. This is a pretty clear indication to me that it will probably stay in the red for a little bit here. Maybe not too long. Maybe it does end up being a extended move in the red though. But at this point, we have definitely pierced below the zero line, and we are seeing continuation below it, even with momentum putting in lower lows. And that is coming off of an overall downtrend with money flow and momentum. So maybe we see this continue with momentum continuing to the downside, getting overextended to the downside once again. Money flow yet again, just continuing this downtrend. But interestingly, the 3-hour has not gotten below the zero line yet. But we are seeing momentum now put in lower lows. VWAP aggressively pointing down, money flow curving over to the downside now. So there is, some bearishness here on the 3-hour as well. 2-hour potentially just put in a lower high here. So it got into the red, got a little move back up. Now it's looking like it wants to cross back into the red. Momentum still moving to the downside. And the 1-hour, money flow is aggressively moving to the downside here. Still putting in lower lows, putting in overall lower lows because we took out this previous low. So, that is kind of a bearish sign. This isn't exactly a lower high in money flow, but still it's putting in a lower low. And when I see 1-hour money flow that looks like this, especially when the higher time frames look like they are turning to the downside, potential of getting aggressive moves into the red, seeing 1-hour money flow that looks like this kind of makes me think that this continuing to the downside becomes more likely, because we aren't even seeing the lower time frames really start to turn back to the upside. Maybe on the time frames lower than the 1-hour we are, but this is definitely adding confidence to me, saying that we'll probably continue rotating lower even if we get temporary bounces. Now, 45-minute looks like we actually have some bull div potential here. Is there bull div potential with momentum on the 1-hour? Yeah, there is. It actually looks like the VWAP is turning back to the upside now, so there is some bullish div potential, but the money flow on the 1-hour doesn't make me want to give that a lot of weight. However, the 45-minute money flow looks different. We actually see a divergence with money flow putting in a higher low and potentially momentum putting in a higher low as price put in a lower low. So there's some bullish confirmations there. Again, with the higher time frames looking bearish though, that may just lead to a temporary move to the upside before continuing lower. We see bullish divs on the 30-minute, at least with money flow we certainly do. Momentum is a little close, but we did print a slight bull div there. 15-minute, looks like no momentum divs, they got voided. Money flow is overall trending to the upside, but it is, currently moving back to the downside after it just got into the green. The first attempt at getting into the green was a failure. And overall, it's a slow increase. It's not looking very strong, the direction to the upside. And we also see that the VWAP is starting to curve back over, possibly indicating that there might be another move to the downside in the short term, where maybe we see this money flow continue to move to the downside and eventually void all of these divergences. And price is moving back to the downside, so maybe we see this dump continue here soon. But what about if we start retracing a little bit? Where are some areas of interest where I may consider new shorts or adding to my short? Well, considering we just broke down below the value area low of this range, I think a retest of that is one valid idea. The only issue I have with it is it's in the middle of this massive down candle, this fair value gap. So that does make it a little sketchy. But just because there's a fair value gap there doesn't mean that we can't reject from value area low. I would just need to see a very clear setup in that area. If the confirmations aren't right, we could get a very temporary reaction before just blasting up through it. I also like this point of control. I know it's not the point of control if you do that slightly different pull, but regardless, it's still going to be a high volume node. And there is some confluence around that point of control. If you take a fib pull from that most recent high, the 382 is kind of aligning with that point of control. It's a little bit above it, but maybe we wick above the point of control and then lose it again. Maybe we don't even get to the 382. Maybe we just reject from the point of control. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a significant fib level from this high. It looks like it's a little bit too far to the upside, but 786 is actually right below it. It's not that far away. So really, I think I'd put a box between that 382 and that 786. and call that my resistance. You could even look at the daily open, which in about an hour and a half from when I'm recording this will be a untapped daily level, I believe. Well, not technically, no, because it's 2 purple candles. You would need a blue candle and then a purple candle here for it to like really be a untapped daily level, at least by how I mark it out. But still, it's daily open. It could be untapped previous daily open. Still could be significant. Maybe you even want to drag that box down to that area, or maybe you kind of want to separate them. Maybe you have this upper box, and then you can also say, all right, maybe from golden pocket to daily open would be another area of resistance for me. Could do that. You could just make it one large box. There's a lot of resistances on the way to the upside, so we really could reject from any of them. And I'm only going to be looking at this idea so long as it's relevant, meaning if price, comes down here and does a bunch of stuff, I'm probably not going to be focusing on this by the time we get to here. Or if price hits my target, then I'm not going to be really considering this idea because I'm looking for this idea to, target my target. And apart from that, I think if we start reclaiming this point of control, if we get above this area, and if we get above the more important point of control, which is slightly higher, then at that point we may have front ran the value area low. Maybe then we start rotating back to the upside, maybe to some other key resistance above us. I don't think I'm going to plan out any other long ideas other than this one. I know we just took out the 786, which doesn't really make me feel great about us bottoming out somewhere in between this area, between 786 and this range low, unless I really see something in price action that tells me that we are going to front run. So I'll be watching local price action. If I see a low time frame setup, then I'll probably consider trading that locally. But other than that, my high time frame area of support is really it. Alright, well, I think that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment. All of that helps to support the channel, and I appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one.